Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the C&J Speedway Review. My name is Chris Burns from the Loki and Jabroni Show, live streaming every Tuesday night on Facebook, in your ears on Wednesday and or Thursday, whenever the producer sees fit, on Play Music, and now on Spotify. Yes, your favorite music streaming service now hosts our podcast. On the other side of the screen, Massachusetts, to do with himself after Sunday's loss by the Patriots, he is Corey Huffnagel.
Well, all I could just say is it's besides the fact that we're coming off the loss in Miami. I mean, yeah, it is pretty cold up here, but a few more weeks until Christmas and then the new year. And all I could just say is I just want February to be here.
57 days till the Daytona 500.
Yep.
Grand, wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
Been a lot of things going on in the last 2 weeks since we last left you. This is the part where Corey is going to take over and shine for the next 10 to 15 minutes. I'll throw in some comments here or there. Then we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the business. So I give you Corey Huffnagel.
All right. So there hasn't been a lot of big news in the last couple of weeks, but the first one was Kurt Busch announced that he is going to be re-signing with Stewart-Haas Racing in 2018. So the deal was about a year, and all I could just say now is pretty much after 2018, Kurt has the option whether if he's going to leave Stewart-Haas Racing or if he's going to stay with the team in 2019. But all I could just say is, there's kind of a little bit of a rumor that, once Kurt leaves, they might think about putting up Cole Custer in the Cup Series in 2 years, whether if he's ready to go or not. But yeah, I was happy that Kurt, re-signed with Stewart-Haas, and I didn't really wasn't really surprised. I knew that was going to happen. They were going to work on a good deal, but I would probably say now, it's going to be a make or break deal for the 41 team, and they made the playoffs last year. They didn't do as great, after the Daytona 500, but hopefully next year, will be pretty good for the 41 and the Stewart-Haas Racing team. And then my second...
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope, no problem. And then my second one was John Hunter Nemechek is going to be moving up to the Xfinity Series in 2018. He is going to be running for Chip Ganassi Racing for a part-time schedule, driving the 42 car with Kyle Larson. And all I could just say is, when I first heard that, I said to myself, that's going to be the team to watch out for next year, because if you look at the 42 team this past season, you had Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick share that car. But the difference is they ended up winning 4 races this season, 3 with Kyle Larson and 1 with Tyler Reddick. So the question is, what do you think 2018 is going to bring with John Hunter and Kyle Larson?
It seems like a powerhouse on that circuit, where this past year we saw Junior Motorsports basically own the Xfinity division.
Yeah.
Series, when we came down tax in the championship, what were there, 3 Junior Motorsports cars?
There were 3 that were running full-time for the championship, and then there was 1 that would probably be on a part-time basis with the 88. So that would be shared by Cup drivers like Casey Kane and Junior and Bowman, I think.
Mm-hmm. So having Kyle Larson team up in this team, the balance of power, but it certainly levels the field a little bit, where Junior Motorsports now has to do a little looking over their shoulder to the other teams. Back to the Kurt Busch point, one of the things you brought up, and you shared the article on our page, by the way, guys, if you haven't gone out and liked it, C&J Speedway Review, so NASCAR IndyCar Central on Facebook. This is where you're going to get all the latest information. 1-year deal is a bad thing. It's almost a lame duck.
Yeah.
It's put up or shut up. I don't think you do that to someone who has a championship under their belt. Exactly. Just because, I was over at the Valhalla Entertainment Complex before I came here tonight to record, I was talking with Loki, and we were talking about tonight's topic, which we'll get into in a little bit. But you're basically set up to fail. It doesn't show a trust. It's a lot. He mentioned a baseball player getting a 1-year deal. We're going to see how you do. But if you're a champion, if you have a pedigree, Loki brought up Juan Pablo Montoya. Loki also brought up Danica Patrick. It's not like Kurt Busch is a lower pack guy. He's a champion. He's a Daytona 500 winner. He's a guy with a pedigree. A 1-year deal for a guy like that, in my opinion, bogus. I can't say the other phrase that I like to use on the podcast. I'll say bogus.
Yeah, I agree, Sue. But if you look at his stats, I would probably say, like, from the time he started at Stewart-Haas Racing to this past season, he's only won, like, 1 or 2 races, like, each and every year. Well, if you look at 2015, he ended up winning 2 races. So I look at his stats and I say to myself, like, you know, this isn't the Kurt Busch that we knew, like, when he was racing for, like, Roush, when he was winning, like, 4 to 3 races. But yeah, I mean, all I could just say now is with the 1-year deal, in my opinion, I think this is going to be a make or break kind of deal, and we're pretty much going to have to see, like, you know, how he does in 2018. And all I could just say is I really think this team really needs to get a move on. You know, hopefully they can win a lot of races and contend for a championship next season.
It certainly would be nice. And I know Kurt Busch has the talent. He's also turned himself around so incredibly in the last few years after all the allegations that he had to go through and the legal wranglings. He really has become a model citizen and a model race car driver. Kurt Busch. I've always had a soft spot for Kurt Busch. He's a really great race car driver. His brother can kick rocks. That's my opinion. But, you know, Kurt Busch with a 1-year deal, I think Stewart and Gene Haas are showing a lot of faith in him. So, you know, I guess it's a wait-and-see proposition. If he does well in 2018 behind the wheel of the 41, we will see if he goes forward with Stewart-Haas or if he takes his talents elsewhere.
I definitely agree. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, even if he does leave Stewart-Haas Racing, I mean, there's going to be one big team that'll probably pick him up, you know. Not sure who it's going to be, but it's going to depend on, you know, if they're going to have enough cars or enough or whatever it is, like so forth, that if he's going to be able to run in 2019, but we'll just have to see.
I really do think that, you know, again, I said it, and I fear I'm repeating myself. The 1-year deal is a bad deal, but if he puts up, I'm not saying they should give him another 1-year deal. I'm talking a multiple year. You have to show faith in someone that's getting behind the wheel of your car. If you're an aging baseball player or an aging football player or basketball player, a 1-year deal is a respect thing. We want to give you a shot. Professional motorsports, a 1-year deal basically says, I'm kind of keeping the seat warm for somebody. And 9 times out of 10, that's what happens. You get a 1-year deal. I'm trying to remember. Mark Martin did it one time. Mark Martin was on his way out, or we thought, and then he ran for a couple more years.
Yeah.
2005, I believe, him and Rusty Wallace had the retirement tour together.
Right.
He went on and got a 1-year deal, and it turned into another 1-year deal. He just became Journeyman Deluxe.
Right. And if you look at Mark,
go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, if you look at Mark Martin, I mean, like, yeah, there was a time where he ran full time pretty much for Jack Roush, and then after 2006, he pretty much ran a part-time basis when he was with the then Ginn Racing and then DEI, and then 2009 he said, you know what, I'm going to go back full-time racing. So he did that for like another 2 years, and then after that he just decided to like hang it up. But yeah, I mean, if you look at other guys that have signed with a 1-year deal or a multi-year deal, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, all I could just say right now is that, you know, the window of opportunity, you know, it's pretty much gaining quite a bit. And if you look at some of these guys, you know, they have the talent. I mean, they can win races and they can win championships, but we'll just have to see how it all goes next season.
The problem is Kurt Busch is not 50-plus-year-old Mark Martin.
Right.
He's late 30s, early 40s Kurt Busch. Given this deal to Kevin Harvick,
yeah,
you're a champion. You have, if not 20s, if not 30s of wins under your belt. You have the pedigree. You're not the aging superstar that people looked at, like a Rusty Wallace, like a Mark Martin. And that 2005 year was fantastic. I remember the salute to you, Mark Martin. I remember Rusty's last call. I remember going to those races and being teary-eyed because these are two of the guys from my childhood that were about to walk away and never come back again. This is not Kurt Busch. Kurt Busch is still young. He's still active. He's still competitive. He's not somehow. He won the opener in Daytona in 2017. Yes, he ran into some bad luck, but he found a way to get into the round of 16, didn't he?
Yeah.
Give him a one-year deal. Just seems like a slap in the face. It seems to me like Stuart Haas is saying, we like you.
Right.
Any more news?
So, all I could just say now is, well, in other news, we just want to congratulate Austin Dillon. He ended up getting married, I believe, this past weekend. So congratulations to him and Whitney. We wish you guys the best of marriage. And, you know, all I could just say is we're happy for you. Isn't that right, Chris?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe Brittany can calm the beast that lives within Austin Dillon, we hope.
Yes.
So let's get to the meat and potatoes. Corey, on the C&J Speedway Review Facebook page, as well as NASCAR IndyCar Central, you shared a really interesting story a day or two ago. NASCAR be a part in 2020.
So this is the big question. I mean, even if NASCAR does decide to go to the Olympics, there's two things. One, where are they going to put it if the Olympics decide, like, you know, where the city's going to be held? And two, when do you think NASCAR is going to, like, participate and one of the drivers going to participate, you know, given the fact that, you know, they're pretty much like in their season from February to November?
Well, I got to give a lot of credit to Loki, Mike Smith from the Loki and Jabroni show. We had a little discussion about it earlier tonight. And his big question was, you know, Olympics are in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. You have Atlanta Motor Speedway right there. If the Olympics are held in St. Louis or Kansas City, you have Kansas Speedway right down the road.
Yep.
There's a lot of places in America where you can do this. His question was, what if the Summer Olympics are held in Paris? We all know they cordon off the streets and they do the street racing there.
Yeah.
The problem is Mexico and the United States are the only three that do in a high level stock car racing.
Yeah.
One in Indy cars, that F1 permeates the entire world.
Yeah.
You have Baja racing in Mexico. There is racing everywhere you go, but they're different. I think in Germany they have those weird touring cars. Series years ago, I can't remember the name of it.
I can't pronounce that either, but all I can just say is, you know, Germany is pretty much home to the Autobahn.
Mm-hmm. You see that, but the logistics are a problem. The other problem that we run into is the Summer Olympics are right smack dab in the middle of the Monster Energy Cup Series.
Yeah.
If, let's say, the United States sends 5 drivers, off the top of my head, Truex, Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano. Those are my 5.
Okay.
Now, do you think that these guys are going to walk away for 3 to 4 weeks, moneymaker behind, leave the series that is the bread and butter, great to represent your country?
Right.
Fantastic to say, I'm an Olympic gold medalist if they were to do racing of any sort. Even if they did like the Rolex 24 hours or something like that, where international drivers come in and they're all familiar with those cars. 24 hours a Daytona, you get Canada, India, Italy. You get all sorts of international flair at Daytona for that fantastic race.
Exactly.
So once you decide what kind of cars you're going to run, where you're going to run, how you're going to run, now it's logistics. Are we in the middle of somebody's season? Here in the United States, where NASCAR is the be-all, end-all of the racing circuits, of all the racing circuits. Guys, I'm going to walk away for 4 weeks, represent my country, but it means not putting as much dollars into my pocket, not feeding my family, not chasing the championship of the circuit that I run for?
I mean, that is a very tough question. I mean, like, all I could just say is, for them, they would just have to say, well, I'd have to talk to my team owners about it. I would have to talk to sponsors about it. I mean, because when you're in NASCAR, I mean, it's pretty much a big business. Like, if you're a driver, like in particular, because, you have to go to all these sponsorship greetings and, then you got to talk with your team owners and you got to do this and that. And pretty much the life as a NASCAR driver, they have a busy schedule pretty much from February to November. And then not only that, like, then they just have to focus on the off season too. But let's be honest. I mean, NASCAR did go to Japan before. They did that, I'd say, the last few years. They did it on the road course at Suzuka and then the oval at Motegi. So they've traveled across the world before. But the thing is about it, I mean, it is going to be tough for them, like, travel wise too, because, then you got to get in and out of the country, and then you got to do this and that and so forth. But I mean, it's a tough call, but then the real question is, like, let's say if those guys are gone, who would drive their cars for like the rest of the couple of weeks and so forth? Then you'd have to get all these backup drivers that come in, and who knows how those guys are going to do as well. And, whether if they either win the race or not, but even though if they have a win, or, and they go to the Olympics, they're pretty much like, I have the win and you're in kind of deal. So I'm okay. Like, so when I come back, I'm basically in the playoffs based on the win at, let's say Chicago or so forth. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting.
Point system and how stage wins basically, give Martin Truex for winning that last race and basically stamping that championship. That race, championship is gone. In those 4 weeks, you learn the tracks, and if I'm not mistaken, the Summer Olympics happened from the last 2 weeks of July, last 2 weeks of August. Sonoma's in there, so you pull Sonoma out.
Yeah.
2 tracks in there, if I'm remembering correctly, that are chase tracks. That data, you lose that. And changes. Maybe there's been a repave. Maybe there's been a configuration change. We all know Phoenix is changing.
Yep.
Run earlier in the year, so that's not too much of a problem. That momentum from driving that stock car single week, and the tweaks are there. Little turn here, a little wedge there. Everything is basically the same. Talk about a stock car. There's a lot stock about a stock car. It's the tweaks that make the car better. Now, that knowledge in your head, you're the guy sitting behind the wheel. You feel the car, you feel the track, you know the groove you like. If you miss one of those tracks and then you have to go back and you don't know the changes and you don't know the situation, you're basically killing your own championship hopes.
Right.
For me, the logistics are one thing, and we can talk more about that in a few minutes. Why are you giving up this precious track time where you make your money? The NBA years and years and years ago, I want to say it was the 92 Olympics in Barcelona, the NBA finally said, we're going to let guys go. It's in their off season, so there's nothing to worry about. The baseball players, no major leaguers are going to the Olympics. That's why they have the World Baseball Classic now, so they can have their gold medal moment and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Ball players. American football were big enough, and they could have American football. American football are big enough. Christ, here, we all know, Saturdays are for the boys, but Sundays for football. We all know it. And racing, let's be honest, that's why we're here.
Yes, sir.
I really don't think a Matt Ryan or a Tom Brady or someone else in the middle of their season would say, we're going to go represent our country in the middle of the Olympics. The Super Bowl, that's one thing, but I really want a gold medal. That's just something that eats at me with this question of should NASCAR, and let's just broaden the parameter here. Should racing be an Olympic sport? Could it be? Yes. I think you could see I hate, you know how much I hate to say the lower end guys, but I'm sure you could see some up and comers like a John Hunter Nemechek, like a Christopher Bell, like if I can't remember his name, William Byron.
Byron, yep.
Give up 4 weeks and go do this to represent the country. You're not going to see the elite. Logano, Johnson, Harvick, name your poison, man. Keselowski. You're not going to see in our lifetime any of those guys in their prime. 4 weeks off, and I'm going to go run the Olympics. I think you'd see maybe some mid-pack guys or upper echelon Xfinity or truck drivers buy into that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it depends on, if they want to do this or not. But, I definitely like to see those guys try it, if not the Cup drivers. It could be possibly Xfinity or the Cup guy or the Truck Series, either way.
Again, we'll go back to the logistics of it. Research for this. There are countries that strictly dirt racing. Fantastic. If you've ever watched an Eldora race, or you've gone to, say, US 24 Speedway in Logansport, Indiana, where my good friend Chad Hatfield has run in the Winged Outlaw Midgets, guys like that represent. That's fantastic. How many local guys do we know? And Ryan Preece being a great example, because now here he is bubbling on that upper echelon.
Yep.
Racing in the Olympics would be fantastic. In the Massachusetts circuit where you're at, is there a few drivers that you would just say that's a guy I'd want to represent the United States?
Well, the only Massachusetts driver that we know is pretty much Kaz Grall, and now he's moving up to Xfinity next season. And yeah, I mean, I definitely love to see him represent for the United States if he does go.
Okay. Around here, again, the biggest name from Connecticut, obviously, Joey Logano.
Yeah,
not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Some of the passing of Teddy Christopher, he would have been my first choice. You want to send someone to represent racing from this state? I can look at Woody Pitcat, who runs the modified series in the area. Those are guys that I wouldn't mind sending. I don't know that I would want to take, football season. They say, okay, Aaron Judge, you're going to go represent the United States for the Olympics. Well, that kind of sucks. The team that pays me needs me. Chasing a championship myself. Well, it's kind of like being on the DL for a baseball player. You have 25 other guys on the roster that can pick up your slack. One guy behind that wheel.
Yeah.
And that one guy is the one that makes or breaks the championship run. I don't see how it can work. And I'd love to hear your thought on it, because I know, look into your mind and say, Corey thinks this is a fantastic idea.
I mean, it is very interesting to say the least. And, and let's be honest, we've had other sports that are considered like in the Olympics. Like, I'll probably remember one. There was one time, power walking was part of the Olympics, and my first reaction was, this was kind of stupid, and I don't understand why they would put that in there and so forth. And there's other sports that they had in the Olympics that are kind of interesting, and then the rest were kind of meh and all that. But racing in the Olympics, I mean, it is a very interesting idea. I mean, I would love to see them do it, but the question is, let's say if they have it in a different city around the world, maybe London or Paris or anywhere else, that's going to be the question. Are those drivers who can represent the United States, will they go over there? Because, then they'd have to talk to their team owners and sponsors, for permission and all that stuff whatsoever, to get themselves over there and all that. But, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there was one time, Kyle Busch was going to run the Indianapolis 500, and the team owner, Joe Gibbs, said no. But, either way, like, the other team owners, they'll be like, you could do the Olympics, and then the other ones will say no. But then the question is, like, will you send guys from the Cup Series or Xfinity or the Truck Series? Because let's be honest, NASCAR is pretty much a part of 3 series. And, I would say that, I would pick pretty much 2 from the Cup Series, 2 from Xfinity, and 2 in the Truck Series. So, then that ought to way, like, they can represent the United States. But not only that, like, we've had, NASCAR drivers, that were different ethnicity. Like, we had, Montoya, who represented, Colombia. We had, some drivers from Canada, which we had Alex Tagliani, and we've had, Jacques Villeneuve, who used to do open wheel in NASCAR and whatsoever. But no, I mean, I think it should be, I'm hoping that, they can have put racing in the Olympics in the next few years, and it also depends, like, what the Olympics committee thinks about it as well.
Right. Now, another thing that we have to think about is who's funding this? Because Joe Gibbs is not going to do it. Stuart Haas is not going to do it. Somebody's got to fund it. Now you have to bring crew over. You have to bring equipment over. You have to, here's a pole. Let's go pole vault where everybody uses the same pole. Now you have all of these different components, tires, engines, etc., so forth. Somebody's got to fund all of it. Fund it.
Wow, I mean, who would fund it? I mean, it's that I would probably say it's $1 million question. I mean, I can't really answer that one.
Okay. I'm trying to look up the name of that series I was talking about, and I can't find it. I know one of the big guys was John Gooding, so I'm listening to you, and I'm looking up things at the same time. It's kind of what we do here. Yeah. I can't be Corey Huffman, the stat guy 24/7. I'm sorry. Getting old. 5. So thank you for your wishes. You did send me birthday wishes.
Thank you.
The governing body, Olympic Committee or the Global Olympic Committee, what is it, the International, et cetera, so forth.
Yeah.
The rules. So if they cater to the F1 crowd, shut out. If they cater to the NASCAR crowd, then maybe Indy is shut out. If they cater to the Indy crowd, Baja is shut out. Your opinion would determine what kind of racing we'd see in the Olympic Games.
Well, I'd probably say, like, if you have the Olympics, like, around the world, I mean, you certainly wouldn't have, like, NASCAR go over there. Like, I would probably say, like, it would mostly be, like, Formula One. But if you'd have the Olympics in the United States, yes, I would put, NASCAR in there. Maybe a little bit of IndyCar, because I know they race in the United States and all that. But for the Olympics on the IndyCar side, like, you would have to put them on the streets, somewhere and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a whole different, like, scenario. I mean, yeah, I mean, it is a tough call to make. But yeah, I mean, the United States definitely would be for NASCAR. I mean, like, let's say, for example, I mean, you have the Olympics in, like, St. Louis. You'd have the track at Gateway, which is at, like, right across the river from Missouri, Madison, Illinois. And then, of course, Atlanta, you got Atlanta Motor Speedway, and then Miami, you got Homestead Miami Speedway. So yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting topic. But yeah, I mean, if, let's say, like, if the United States would have the Olympics here, yeah, definitely NASCAR involved.
All right, I'll buy that. But the Olympics in the summer are being held in Dubai. Dubai is street racing.
Yeah.
Formula One, et cetera, so forth, whatever it is. There's a lot of different twists and turns that NASCAR drivers may not be used to. Yes, they do road courses twice a year. Yes, despite what the haters say, left and right turns, et cetera, so forth. But then you have guys who have grown up and moved up in these circuits doing nothing but street racing, like in the Le Mans or in Paris or what have you. London being a great example. The Japanese have it different. They have street racing, much like the Grand Prix.
Yep.
Course out there, and they have the circle track. I remember when they first did it back in '96. Rusty Wallace goes over there and wins the first ever. And he goes, I don't want to do that again. But he does, because it's NASCAR and It's part of the governing body, and
Right.
you do what your bosses tell you to do. Again, you have to think of it isn't just like, I'm Michaela Maroney. I'm going to go and do the flips on the mat, and she's good at what she does. I don't want to take away from gymnastics.
Right.
Great pure sport, but except for herself. Michael Phelps, you jump in the pool, you swim. What are you bringing other than yourself? Oh, war wagons. You're talking about a garage full of stuff, cars, crew members, spotters, way too much stuff. Logistics is a problem.
Absolutely.
So, in your mind, in your mind's eye, the perfect view, if Corey Huffnagel is on the international IOC, thank you, I finally came up with it.
Yeah.
Corey Huffnagel runs the IOC in regard to putting racing in the Olympics, maybe not in 2020, but let's 2026. You have almost 10 years to get this going. What would you do?
Well, I would probably say, let's say like if we do have racing and if we have a racing series, like let's say NASCAR, we're only going to put that in the United States. Now, let's say if we have racing outside the United States, it's only going to be Formula One. Because either way, it's a whole different playing field because, yes, Formula One, they race all around the world. NASCAR, they race around the United States. Some in Canada, if the NASCAR, if the Olympics is in Montreal, you'd have the road course in which is Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, which by the way, in my opinion, that road course was probably one of the best and most fun road courses that I've ever seen. And I'd probably give a one little memory, the inaugural race back in 2007 when, the whole Robbie Gordon ordeal, when he got spun while leading and so forth, and the rest goes on and on. But yeah, I mean, I would just tell the committee that, if we're going to have racing, we're only going to have NASCAR in the United States and Formula One around the world, depending on where it's at.
Which they announced those things a couple years in advance. So, okay, in 2024, we're going to, and I'm just going to pick a nation out of my head. We're going to London. Prepare for that.
Yeah.
You find your driver, you find your crew, you find the car, you put together, the IOC says, whether the London street racer car or, hey, we're going to Mexico where we know they have a NASCAR qualified track down there. Martin Truex was the inaugural winner down there back in 2005.
Yep, correct.
Yep. Okay. Stat Boy says I'm right. I must be right. It's like being on Jeopardy, but different. They have a NASCAR qualified track, but then again, Mexico also has Baja Racing, which is the fantastic dune buggy races.
Yeah.
That is wildly popular down there. Ahead of time, the IOC will say, okay, Mexico, choose your poison. I think we're going to do the Baja Racing. Okay, boom. Now you know that. And someone who is Baja qualified in that race before, here you go, Kevin Harvick. Get in the car and go.
Well, definitely you would find a guy that has the Baja experience. I mean, even if you do put a NASCAR guy in there, I mean, yeah, there's probably been maybe one or a few NASCAR guys that have done Baja racing before, but yeah, it definitely have to be Baja drivers, in my opinion.
Okay, I like the idea. I kind of think we've beaten this horse to an end on. It is something that if they're going to do it, there's going to have to be years of planning, logistics, strategies that if they were to say, okay, starting in 2024, we're going to have racing in the Olympics. New question just pops up. Where do you pick the crews?
The crews. Yeah, that one's a trick question too. I mean, probably say, crew chiefs maybe.
Okay, but now you have tire changers, engine guys, etc., so forth. put together a team. You can't just, reach your hand in and go, hey, we want you here. And hey, Zach, the Jack guy for the number 5, we want you here. You can't take from Peter to pay Paul. You either want the best, maybe you get the best of the rest. That question is where do you draw that line and say this is where we're going to get our crews from?
Yeah, I mean, that one's kind of a trick question myself, and I would have to say that that maybe in my opinion, they'd have to get probably the backup guys, because let's be honest, like you can't get the regular crew guys, to the Olympics because those guys are out there, doing their jobs and so forth. But yeah, I mean, if I was the Olympic Committee, I would say like if we're gonna have NASCAR in the United States, like we're gonna have to have we're going to have pit crew guys, but we're not going to have the guys that go over the wall every 36 weeks and so forth. We're going to have the backup guys, come in and, and just do the rest.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
Yeah.
In your mind's eye, can you see this happening ever? Or even, let's say, in the next 10 years? Can you see this happening?
I could probably see this happening maybe in the next 10 years, like if the Olympics – decides to like do this like 110%, but yeah, definitely love to see it in the near future.
Okay. I guess I got to say that in my heart of hearts, in my opinion, part of me says it can't happen. To logistics, we go back to the teams. Finding drivers is easy. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of drivers around the country who are looking for that break. And believe me, if they were to institute motorsports in the Olympics, that one local guy who gets picked to go forward, come home with an Olympic gold medal, F1's looking at you, Indy's looking at you, NASCAR's looking at you. Fast track to the top, you may be the 19-year-old superstar getting into a cup ride performance in the Olympics.
Absolutely.
It would also globalize not only NASCAR, but IndyCar racing and all the, it would introduce the world to all the different types of racing that people enjoy daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Happening me, not in the next few years, but if they were to do it, we may see it. They do the Summer Olympics every 2 years. I'd say 6 years.
Yeah.
6 years. So before we close out the evening, obviously being the off season, we don't have race results. We don't have this. We don't have that. Anything on your mind, race related, that you just need to get off your chest?
So all I could just say is, 2018 is going to be a very interesting season. And I'm going to say that, 2018 is going to be the year where all the young drivers are going to shine. You're going to have guys like John Hunter Nemechek. You're going to have Christopher Bell. You're going to have Kyle Larson. You're going to have Alex Bowman, William Byron. The guys, I would say, from like 24 and under, those are the guys that are going to be fun to watch next season, going from any team to another. It's going to be fun, especially on the Cup Series side. If you look at it, there's going to be a lot of young drivers in that field, and now we're just going to be focusing on the veteran guys that have been around from around like 2006, 07, like some from like 2002 and so forth. And my big question is how long are those guys going to last for? You look at Jimmy Johnson, who's like 44, 43, I'd probably say he's got like maybe like 5 more years ahead of him. And then you got Kevin Harvick, who's like 42. He's probably got a couple more years ahead of him as well. But actually, and I forgot to point this out, is I probably say
42.
Okay, 42.
I'm going to get you all those ages right now because you're making me feel old now because I just turned 45. Kevin Harvick, also 42. By the way, shares a birthday with me.
There you go.
You get to the other NASCAR birthday boy that shares a birthday with me. The Rocket, Ryan Newman.
Yep.
who obviously doesn't want to come up on Wikipedia. But, oh, there it is. Ryan Newman. So, 3 guys just off the top of my head, 2 that share a birthday with me. God bless them. You said competitive and still in their peaks, but how long do they truly have?
Probably like a couple more years and so forth. But actually, another topic that I didn't really discuss, and I should have discussed this before at the start of the show, was Richard Petty Motorsports is aligning with Richard Childress Racing next season, and that one is going to be very interesting because I was doing a little bit of research on that, and I would say the last few years, I guess they said that Richard Petty Motorsports was doing stuff on their own, they were getting equipment on their own, engines on their own, and of course they realized that that wasn't really working at all. And let's be for real, Richard Petty Motorsports, which was then Petty Enterprises, they haven't been competitive, I probably say, since the Richard Petty era. And then once Petty leaves, then he gets to guys like John Andretti and Bobby Hamilton and and then Eric Almirola. I mean, the list goes on, and they'd win probably 1 or 2 races a year. So then once they get Bubba, and then once they get the alignments with RCR, then I think, okay, now they're going to get their alliances with Richard Childress. They're going to get their engines from RCR, and they're going to have a really good fan base and so forth. But now my big question is, how good do you think they're going to be next season? Because let me give you a little bit of a statistic. So do you remember when the Wood brothers were running a part-time basis the last couple of years?
Yes.
So between
Trevor Bayne was the driver.
Yep. So between, I think it was 2009 to 2014 maybe or so forth, they were running a part-time basis. Yes, they won the Daytona 500 back in 2011, but the problem was, they didn't have enough funding, to run most of the races. And when you talk about the Wood brothers, you're talking about a team that has won the most races. They've won championships with drivers like David Pearson and Cale Yarborough, and again, the list goes on and on. But a few years ago, once they aligned with Team Penske, everything just snapped from one end to the other. Now they were running a lot of races, they were winning races, and then they were competing for championships. You look at this year, when the first year that the Wood brothers aligned with Team Penske, look at what they had for their result. Ryan Blaney ends up winning at Pocono. He makes the playoffs, and he went to the round of 8 or probably around there or so forth. But that just goes to show you that once a team gets alliances from the other team, it could basically tell you that this is going to be one to watch out for, and sooner or later they're going to be running good in the next couple of years. And I look at RCR. I mean, I do hope they can get a good rebound next year now that Richard Petty Motorsports is going to be aligning with them. But my other team that I'm definitely going to be watching out for next season is definitely going to be Team Penske, because now with Ryan Blaney coming on board and driving the third Penske car, I could see them winning races and making it to the playoffs next season.
Not to mention Blaney, because you sent up the screenshots of his ride for next year.
Yeah.
And just think back to the guys who have come and gone through Penske. They all have had success on one level or another. You had champion.
Yeah.
Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, champion.
Mm-hmm.
Logano, race winner. You've had Newman, multiple race winner, much like Logano. You've had guys come through that system that have always been fantastic. Have there been hiccups? Anyone?
Yeah.
Come on. Not every team is perfect. Even the famed and vaunted Hendrick teams have had in their midst that hype. Ryan Blaney is a guy who is still very young and can still move his way up and make an impact and that's a guy who changed everything. So it's a fantastic move for Penske. He's going to be a player this coming season, and he was a player this season, but watch for him, like you said, to be even bigger, better, and badder this coming season, 2018.
Oh, there's no question about it. I think that 12 car is going to be fast next season, and don't be surprised if that team gets off to a hot start next season.
We could be talking about him on the week after Daytona when we're talking about the Daytona 500. 60th running this year. It's going to be great. Quick, don't look at your computer. Who won the 48th running of the Daytona 500? Sure, I'm right.
The year was 2006, and that was when Jimmy Johnson ended up winning.
Okay, hold that thought.
But here's my other question. Who was the crew chief for the 48 that weekend?
Darren Grubb.
Yes. And reason why?
Knaus got suspended because he cheated again.
Yeah, exactly.
2006 Daytona 500. Jimmy Johnson. Very good. Nice. Yep. All right. The only reason I remember that is because the 48 and the 48th running, and they made a big deal out of it after the race, and yada, yada, yada. My favorite was the 49th, but talk about that. Inching Mark Martin at the line.
Yep, and that was when everybody was crashing, coming to the checkered flag, and then you had the 07 Clint Boyer upside down on his roof coming across the line, which I thought that was crazy.
Air.
Yeah.
And on fire.
You can't make that up.
All right. I've got nothing else. Corey, do you have anything you need to plug, pimp, or otherwise shill?
Well, all I can just say is go to NASCAR IndyCar Central on Facebook. We're going to be posting up news. Next year, we're going to be posting up results once the racing season kicks off and running. Go to my website, NASCARindy.org. Instagram, we are at NASCAR IndyCar. And Twitter, we are at NASCAR Indy.
All right. All I've got is the usual. If you want to help the show out, please share it. If you're watching this and you know people who will love it, share the YouTube video, share this NASCAR, share anything. We'll know we're out here. If you want to help the show monetarily, go to www.patreon.com/Loki and Jabroni. The Loki and Jabroni Show is the umbrella for everything we do on the Focus Digital Network. It goes directly into the show. We don't use it to buy cars. We don't use it to buy anything because, quite frankly, all we could buy is probably a pizza and a couple of beers. We're not doing that. We dump it right back into the show. Just to make mention, I cannot stress this enough. In the off season, I want you guys to think about, with the holidays coming up, they're not an affiliate. We're trying to get them as an affiliate on the LokiandJabroni.com NASCAR Superstore and buy your family, friends, and whatever your favorite NASCAR gear if they wear the number 4.
Definitely.
Shameless plug, because, man, I want all the 4 gear I can get. So, Corey, we'll see you again in 2 weeks. We will talk about what the next topic is. We're going to try to get some people to join us on the YouTube and maybe get a live chat going. And I know you also have something in the works that I'm not going to people. Possibly there may be a third member on C&J Speedway Review at some point.
Oh, that'll be very interesting. I'm looking forward to that.
You keep working on that. I'll keep working on what I work on. And cheers to you, my friend. And if I don't see you, if I'm doing my math right, I won't see you until after Christmas right here on C&J Speedway Review.
Oh, and also one more thing. And this is kind of a funny topic. So for anybody who celebrates Festivus, happy Festivus to all. And Merry Christmas.
Festivus for the rest of us.
I had to bring that one out there.
Fantastic. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. 3 Kings. Whatever you celebrate, don't feel left out. We love everybody. Doesn't matter. We love you.
We love you too.
And with that, thank you guys.
All right.
We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Good night.
And we lost our producer. So we're still live. Let's just play with it.
All right. Swing it.
If he doesn't get back here soon, I'm going to visit the greatest nation on earth right here in my chair, which is urination.
Oh,
See,
man.
it's the extra stuff that these people just don't get.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Ed's going to have to clip this part out. And if he doesn't, I don't care. You want me to text him? Let me text him.
Yeah. Just text him and be like, Eddie, where are you? We're done. Oh, jeez.
Oh, here we go. Well, we're still here, so it's all good.
Yeah.
You still haven't taken down that Jimmy Johnson picture. I told you to do that 11 weeks ago.
Well, I just haven't got the chance to, but
you could put up a picture of Betty White, and I wouldn't be as offended as I am looking at Jimmy Johnson. Every single week, I got to look at Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Holy cripes. And we still don't have a producer.
Yeah. So anyways, I heard that, Ream water heaters, they're going to be sponsoring the Gibbs Xfinity team next year.
I did hear that. I read that somewhere. It was on NASCAR.com, I think.
Yeah, so they're going to be sponsoring Christopher Bell for a couple of races, and then they're going to sponsor the 18 car of Ryan Preece for a few races.
Interesting. If anybody deserves some really good sponsorship, it is Preece. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
There's a kid that's going to make waves once he gets up. On Xfinity this year?
No, he's running a part-time deal in the 18 car because if you mentioned, the 18 car is going to be shared by him and then the Cup guys, etc.
Right. Oh, he better be dead. That's all I got to say.
Oh, jeez.
The first time ever we've extra live, and I've already revealed to people I have to go to the bathroom, so.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Look, it's extra bonus content here on C&J Speedway Review. Ta-da!
Right.
Oh, here. You said this. Let me see. Today is. You guys said or Monday night game.
Monday night.
You have Pittsburgh this weekend.
Yep.
The toughest opponent, in my opinion, that you'll have all year.
And I would probably say that, the game on Sunday is going to be pretty much the factor of who's going to be the best team in the AFC going into the playoffs. And, the way I look at it right now, it's going to be New England and Pittsburgh.
That was my pick for the AFC Championship back when we did our NFL preview many, many, many weeks ago.
Yeah.
You have a tough game. As far as, Atlanta's concerned, we have a week and a half off from the Thursday night game all the way up to this Monday versus the Buccaneers, which I think is going to be another win, which will be fantastic. Then we have the Panthers and the Saints to close it out. The Panthers, to me, are the wild card. You don't know. You just don't know how it's going to go.
Right.
The Saints, we've seen their weaknesses. We've seen the Panthers too, but we lost by 3. So it's not like it was the toughest game ever. Against New Orleans, it was by a field goal. It's not the toughest game ever, but we've seen their weaknesses. Strengths out of Tampa Bay. I really haven't. So for me, Monday's a win, and then it's the last 2 games going on Christmas Eve and then New Year's Eve. It's the Panthers that are really going to be the challenge. And I don't think you guys have a really, other than Pittsburgh, I think your schedule is pretty light on the way out.
I think it should be decent going into the playoffs. But, Pittsburgh is just going to be that one game where it's going to be very challenging.
Of course. You have the Bills, big deal. And you have you have the Jets and the Bills. What the ever? You might as well just chalk them up now.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is the only game you have to worry about.
Right.
All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I think we both hit the end button, and we'll let Ed figure it out whenever he's done pooping or whatever he's doing.
All right.
He can edit. He can edit as he wishes. But hey, if he leaves it, guys, thanks for sticking around for an extra few minutes.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around. It's we sometimes have fun around here, but it's how we roll.
Always have fun. Yes. Exactly, Corey. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good Christmas, my friend.
You too. You have yourself a Merry Christmas.
I'm going to do my best. Thanks, bro.
All right. No problem.
All right. Later.
All right. Bye.